Welcome back to the Root to Bloom podcast, where we explore the intersections of creativity, culture, and conscious entrepreneurship. I'm your host and co founder of Root to Bloom, Ray. And today I'm so excited to be in conversation with someone whose work is absolutely incredible, who's a true visionary, who's been shaping brands for years and years. And I'd like for you to join me in welcoming Isabel Bagsik, who is a Root to Bloom creative consultant and also the founder of Unconventional Bliss, which is a design and brand mentorship studio and experience rooted in intention and authenticity and supporting a lot of folks on their journeys. So, in this episode, we'll be talking about what it means to build a practice, a creative practice, a brand that's not just about creativity, but that's also about alignment and being deeply aligned. So we are so lucky to get to unpack some of the lessons that Isabel has learned along the way, from early inspiration and early years throughout her career, all the way until this new moment of entrepreneurship. And so I'm very excited to learn about what it's like to design a visual identity that doesn't just look good, but also feels good and feels true. So I'm also personally excited to learn a lot from Isabel. So, Isabel, before we dive into our questions and kind of the more formal side of things, I just kind of wanted to start with the human side. Who are you beyond your work? Would you like to introduce yourself to folks?
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Ray. And who am I is such a big question. How existential. But I
Right.
love the question that is exploring the person outside of what they do, kind of untangling our value from productivity as what most folks have been socialized to believing. And so, who am I beyond my work? I am a Filipino American. My mother comes from the province Bicol in the Philippines, and my dad coming from the city Pasay near Manila in the Philippines. I am an older sister. I am a creative. I am curious. Um, yeah, I feel like I can keep going on and on in terms of other adjectives, but that's just the tip of the iceberg before we dive even deeper in terms of the work and how we came together. But yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
I love that. I love you bringing your whole self, your whole human self to this conversation. So thank you for naming that. And also was curious, what are some things you're passionate about at the moment? Could be creatively, some things in your personal life, or things you like to do for fun.
Yeah. So I love reading, and I'm currently in the middle of this really interactive mystery book called S. And what's really interesting about that is that it's a fictional novel, and then there's writing on the margins by these two other characters that are trying to solve a mystery from that book. And it's kind of the I'll yeah, there's more to it, and there's pieces in there that's like fake postcards and fake letters, and that's just been really fun to leisurely go through a book and not rushing through and just taking my time through that. But typically I also like reading fiction of like romance fiction, poetry, nonfiction, but also, when I don't want to think intellectually, I'll watch movies and shows or going out and exploring new places and nature spots, or exploring new vegan food places as well. So a bunch of things that I am enjoying lately, and creatively thinking about, style and thrifting and fashion. I think that's fun as well to be another form of expression for me.
Oh, I love that. Do you have like a favorite all-time book or movie that you really, really love?
Ooh, that's tough. You can't give me that question. But I have to give some top names for lately. So I would say some go-to writers would be like bell hooks, or poetry, Raina Biddy I love. Um, who else? Adrienne Marie Brown. Um, Yeah, so those are some, I mean, I could keep going, but those are some names. And then for like pop culture, I love Pride and Prejudice, I have to say. I love a good classic romance with an independent heroine, and I love how it still feels relevant and modern today with the bond of the sisters and just like how hilarious they are. So, yeah, I'll share those.
Those are so good. I'm actually reading by Bell Hooks right now, Teaching to Transgress, which is so moving and real. So I love that we have that bell hooks interest together. Um, but before we get into intentional branding and design and brand mentorship and all the incredible things that you do through Unconventional Bliss, I just wanted to lift up how we actually connected when you were building this brand. Isabel and I were very lucky to be in the creative mentorship programming and just general mentorship of Chetna Mehta. And we were in a program together where Isabel was birthing this incredible baby. And I think at the time I was working on my novel, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's been beautiful just to walk this journey with you and to see it grown as much as it has. So yeah, just let's start. Unconventional Bliss, tell us, what is it all about and what inspired you to start this business?
Yeah, thank you for naming that kind of like a walk down memory lane. I am so grateful for the opportunity to get to know you and your work and be invited into this incredible collective. And it has been so incredible of an experience. So just so much gratitude there. And what's funny is that Unconventional Bliss, the name, and it started off as a personal project, as a fashion blog and personal reflection space for me when I started college. And then I just kept the name, but it's now morphed into a platform for branding and design and community in that way. And what inspired me was that after I actually was laid off at the start of the time that we met, I was exploring a new way of approaching design and taking a risk on myself and exploring a new way of thinking about my livelihood and wanting to take that risk on myself. And I thought, let me dive into developing my own business and see where that takes me. And seeing how my creativity and how I can carve my own path, what would that look like and how can I do that and build that? And so that was what started it. And using what I already knew and the experience that I had in the brand and design world is what kind of helped be the foundation for what I'm doing now, but now bringing in and weaving in the intuitive, the mystical side, supporting leaders and founders who are doing revolutionary work and really being able to have the privilege and the honor to be in spaces and support folks who I admire and believe their work should be amplified more and be have more recognition. So, yeah, that's kind of the inception of that brand and where I'm just so grateful for it being today.
Yeah. And since you brought it up, I do remember that time where we were in that program with Chetna and working on our creative projects, and you were working on Unconventional Bliss, and you got that, news that it happened. And I think you're just such a great testimony that like even the most difficult things in life can actually be a blessing. Because I think you're articulating this has been like such an incredible experience. I'm sure it's not without its own difficulties, which we'll talk about if there's anything you want to lift up in that way. But yeah, like an objection, a closed door has turned into something so beautiful. So yeah, thank you for living that example for folks. But I just kind of wanted to get into you and your practice because y'all, Isabel is very humble, but very much a superstar, an absolute rock star. I mean, Isabel, you've worked in the design world. You've worked, supporting celebrity clients. You've worked with multi billion-dollar brands. And here at Root to Bloom, you've been supporting Bay Area nonprofits with their brand and their visibility. I just kind of wanted to get a sense if you could just take us on a journey of what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout your career so far and carried into your own practice.
Yeah, I am so grateful for the opportunities and experiences that I have had and being able to step foot and get my hands on part of really exciting projects and talent. And I'm grateful now that I get to bring that locally because I'm also in the Bay Area and have been here my whole life. And so some things that still feel true and important is really being able to treat folks who I'm collaborating with as full humans. That, yeah, it can be so easy to go into a routine of, okay, we're going to the next meeting, here's our next goals, like these are the next tasks. But especially what Root to Bloom does really well is that we do check in with the whole person before we just dive into work and really checking in on their heart and making that truly woven into how we care for our clients and how I really want that to be part of my own work too, how I don't just focus on branding and strategy, but it's really thinking about the whole person, their goals and their desires, their heart, and how their work is not just their work, but it's really because they have this desire to bring good and healing into the world and to bring and usher in a new paradigm, a new way of living and connecting with other people. And it can be difficult to see that in the corporate space or in an agency setting because of the quick pace and just the quick routine of it all. But when there were those moments of checking in with my teammates or with a client, just bringing that heart back it really does affect and change the way we approach our work and the way that we relate to our clients and with our team members. So I think that's a big part of remembering to bring in humanity into how we navigate these kind of relationships because that's what they are. They are relationships, and we're all trying to create something together, no matter what industry that is, and ideally something good. So, yeah, I think that would be the main thing that is sticking out to me that I try to continue to bring in today.
No, that's really beautiful. And thank you for naming that. I think, when Val and I started 5 years ago, I think we were really interested in this idea that also Bell Hooks talks about in Teaching to Transgress. That book is about educating, but I think it's applicable throughout our lives and also in our careers. That care is also part of the work. Like, yes, we need to get this pitch deck done, but like, how are you? Especially, in the moment of today. Um, so yeah, just to bring Bell Hooks back into the conversation, she said that, where she challenged educators to teach in a way that respects and cares for the souls of students, to care for the mind, body, and spirit, and to make it a holistic experience. And I'm also an educator because I teach at a university here where I live. But I think also it's the same thing. Like, I care about how are you doing as an ED? How are you doing as a leader of color in this moment in the United States? Like, working, supporting, local communities. So yeah, thanks for naming that. And I guess relatedly, you've had this incredible experience, very long and an accomplished career. I guess as you look back on your creative journey, personally and professionally, but also this entrepreneurship journey that you went on a few years ago, how would you describe that growth process, that evolution? I'm curious what that looks like, not just in terms of birthing unconventional bliss and the journey of that, but also for yourself. How has that been? How have you evolved as a person? Are there things that have had to shift and change? Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the evolution.
Yeah, there is so much. And I think some things that are coming to mind are this one is this conviction in my own creative skill set and capabilities because for so long I felt like I had to get affirmation or rely on like my managers or whoever to affirm that this was the right choice. Like I am making those right decisions or creative directions. And when I got to the position of art director, it helped establish that conviction in myself. And now creating my own work, my own business, really having to step into that leadership, that authority role of trusting in my choices and trusting in my vision and my ideas. And so just that overall confidence has skyrocketed from studying design to now. And another thing too is bringing back play into the creative process because it used to be so rigid, especially in school and in certain workspaces. But now that I get to create what I want to create and craft up myself, it's this reminder that, especially because it's my own work and my own business, why am I not letting myself play and experiment? And so trying to remember that too. Um, and also a huge lesson is rest as part of the work. And I know that we talked about this too with one of our clients, how rest is resistance and weaving in the Nat Ministries, mission around rest is resistance by Trisha Hersey, that rest is resistance, and it's a big part of the my work. It's integral. It's not extra, it's not an extra step. It's not when we have more time. It is necessary to weave in, and it is a practice, especially for folks of color, women of color, especially for my lineage and the women in my lineage, not having the capacity or this feeling that it's safe to slow down and rest. And so, how do I practice that and find moments of rest, even in 5 minutes in between phone Zoom calls? What does that look like? And it's not always stagnant, still rest. It could be active rest too, and exploring what that is. And so, these different ways of caring for the self have been huge to take care of myself personally, which inevitably flow out into the professional space.
Yeah, I love that. Like rest isn't peripheral or adjacent or extra, like it's part of the work. And maybe you could just break it down for us. When you say active rest, I'm curious what that means or kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, it could be like taking a walk or, um, you know, moving the body in a way that it needs in that moment. And I think most of it, especially when I was training to be a meditation teacher, it is checking in with what the body needs in that present moment. So if you're feeling really activated or really like too much energy, so it's like what is the opposite of that? So slowing down, taking a break, maybe it's meditation. But if you're feeling really sluggish and slow, sometimes you might need to re-energize yourself and get the body moving and getting creative and curious about what it is that your body needs in that moment and being really attentive to listen to what that is and trying to um, support that need however best you can with what you have, being resourceful. So, yeah, it could be yoga, it could be sports, it could be running, um, it could be socializing with people and getting that energy from laughter, from just being with another person after being cooped up in and doing work on a computer for hours in a day. So, yeah, getting curious about what that could be for you can be really helpful in terms of what feels really good and nourishing for your body, for your heart, for your mind.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, Yeah, I also kind of wanted to know, I mean, because every path has its bumps, has its challenges, especially when you're charting new waters, um, that are brand new. And so I'm curious, what have been some of the challenges that you faced? I mean, we're on the topic of rest. Has that been easy or easeful for you? Has that ever been challenging? Are there other challenges that have come across your path as you build your business, and how have you navigated those?
Yeah, definitely many challenges. And I agree with what some mentors have said that starting your own business, and I'm sure that you have experienced this with Root to Bloom, Starting your own business or your own venture is going to be one of the biggest spiritual experiences and journeys you're going to go on. And so it really tests your spirit and your resilience and your persistence. And so for me, yes, starting off with rest, it has been a huge journey in that because at first I didn't have that structure of a 9 to 5 and it was kind of open-ended. So I would still function in the 9 to 5 manner and oftentimes go overboard and would work to much later than I needed to. And I was the only one imposing those timelines and unhealthy work habits on myself. And now it's definitely much better. And I definitely joke and I'm grateful for my sister because sometimes if I'm doing kind of like going a little overboard, she'll say, "Wow, your boss is so strict." And it's me. So I really appreciate her support and her checking in with me and making those jokes, putting into perspective like that. Like, yeah, why I'm not in the 9 to 5, so why am I doing that to myself? We're meant to create. And it's this privilege of being able to create a schedule that fits to our natural rhythms or what feels right to us. And other challenges are things like those boundaries with ourselves and when do we say yes and when do we say no? Thinking about how can I still nurture my own creativity so that it's not out of force, but coming from overflow? And that ties in with the rest and tying in with the play to make sure that it is from this energy and this foundation of that abundance, of that overflow in being able to create more freely versus I'm forcing something to be made and I'm forcing something to come out of it. And so it's been interesting because it really is needing to practice what I preach, practicing and taking my own medicine to be able to model that and support and hold space for others. And I need to be doing those practices myself, like nurturing myself, resting, all those rituals and care, self-care, and also nurturing and tending to my creativity because that is a lot of the through line or a lot of the things that I'm supporting other folks through, especially through the lens of branding and design in their businesses. So, yes, definitely many more other challenges, but I think I'll I'll leave it at that for now.
No, that's perfect. I hear you in saying, you know, modeling certain practices that you believe in and embodying those, so that it's exemplary for other people, in your ecosystem, in your universe. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, I think that's something likely we all struggle with. I know myself as well. So I appreciate you. Yeah, just being so honest and lifting that up. And I guess a final question would be, for those that are listening and maybe just starting out, maybe they're wanting to launch a business like you did, maybe they're wanting to build up their personal brand. What's one piece of advice you would give them for building a strong, authentic visual identity from the ground up?
Yeah, I would say part of this is allowing yourself to explore what you're curious about and being open to having conversations with your peers, with your friends, with trusted people, and just like through conversations and through your curiosity, you'll start to see themes that you keep reaching out to or talking about, or by doing so, this is so helpful for me, that you'll start to see what people are gravitating towards or what they're responding to. And so following those breadcrumbs and just creating and just doing and just sharing. Because oftentimes we get stuck, and I've seen this too, we get in other clients that we get stuck in the daydream phase and the thinking and it just stays there and never gets shared out of either fear or perfectionism or other things. But there won't be change and there won't be room for edits or growth or refinement until it does go out into the world and you find and you like get that momentum going. And so just being able to start is the biggest thing and allowing and trusting that because we're humans, we inevitably change and grow. And so trusting that our branding will also evolve and grow and change with us as well. And so not being afraid of that. And the and being true to what your values are and being able to share and really branding and marketing is really um having this space for people to connect with you and see and relate to you. So kind of like an outfit, how do you want to express yourself in the digital landscape? And does it feel true to you, or are you trying to dress because it's trendy, or are you trying to copy someone else, but it doesn't feel right? Like, can you allow yourself to experiment and play in that space and continue to explore and continue to check in with yourself too? Is this me? Does this feel true? Does this feel fun? And does this feel authentic to what message and story I'm trying to convey in my work?
It's truly incredible. Thank you so much for sharing those tips. I personally really resonated with them. And, Isabel, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey, for sharing your insights, for sharing the heart and the mind behind Unconventional Bliss. Honestly, in this conversation, it's become really clear your work isn't just about aesthetics or how to look, a certain way online or get that website going. It's about alignment. It's about courage. It's about supporting others to see themselves more clearly through design and their own branding. And to our listeners, I really hope today's conversation has reminded you that building a brand or even building a life on your own terms, it takes a few things like Isabel's lifted up. It takes intention, it takes curiosity about yourself, about others, about the world. It takes a willingness to involve. It takes rest, not just as a proxy or a side thing, but as a main thing. It takes values alignment. It takes decolonizing norms that maybe we've held on to because of our conditioning but we maybe need to let go of because they no longer serve us. And it takes, as Isabel just said most recently, authenticity and experimentation. Uh, so whether you're just starting out, whether you're reimagining your own brand or wanting to shift, just know that your voice has a place. And maybe like Isabel, you'll find that the unconventional path is the most blissful one of all. And so, Isabel, before we wrap up, where can folks find you, follow your work, or even connect with you?
Yes, thank you again for this incredible conversation and diving more into connecting with you, Ray, and Root to Bloom. And if folks want to stay connected or learn more, I'd love to chat. You can find me at Unconventional Bliss on Instagram or my website, same name, unconventionalbliss.com, and slide into the DMs. I'd love to say hi and just chat and talk about branding and expression and creativity and all the things about, bringing forth your courage and your expression through your work in a more aligned way.
Thank you so much, Isabel. And for everyone tuning in, thank you for listening. If this episode has sparked something in you, please share it with a friend. Please tag us, follow us on our Instagram account at We Are Root to Bloom. Um, and that all helps us, more than you know. So until next time, y'all keep creating with purpose, and we'll see you soon.